Reverend Seitz, welcome.
Good afternoon. Is that functioning? There. Thank you, Chairman Goodlatte and Ranking Member Conyers, for the opportunity to testify on unaccompanied children entering the United States. I've been called to serve the church as a bishop of a diocese on the border. My challenge is, to the best of my ability and under the guidance of the church, to apply the gospel teaching of Jesus to present-day situations. In visiting with these children in my diocese and in their home countries, I've witnessed the human consequences of the violence they have endured. This challenge tests the moral character of our nation. It is a test we must not fail. Our other nations are watching how we handle this matter. Our moral authority in the world is at stake. Let me say up front that the U.S. Catholic bishops support the right of our nation to control her borders and to enforce the rule of law. Migration to our country should be orderly, safe, and controlled, consistent with the common good. This is why the U.S. bishops have supported the reform of our immigration system, so that the rule of law can be restored in a humanitarian manner. We hope that the House will understand this call and consider immigration reform as soon as possible. In our view, Mr. Chairman, the current challenge we are facing is driven primarily by factors in Central America and Mexico, most specifically the rise of violence against children fomented by organized criminal networks, including drug cartels. They act with impunity, threatening families and coercing children and youth to join their membership or face violence and even death. There are more young children arriving, many who are young girls, 13 or younger. While there are a variety of ongoing push factors, Mr. Chairman, including poverty and family reunification, violence is the straw that stirs the drink. Otherwise, it is unlikely we would see such large numbers of unaccompanied children on our doorstep. Over the long term, Mr. Chairman, there must be a concerted effort to address the root causes of this exodus, specifically the rampant violence in the region. As part of this effort, humane reintegration practices and prevention programs would complement anti-violence efforts. For the short-term response, we recommend the following. Unaccompanied children should be expeditiously placed in child-friendly shelters and not warehoused in CBP border facilities. Families should not be detained in restrictive settings, but placed in alternative community settings. Their legal proceedings should not be short-circuited and undermine due process. Unaccompanied children should be appointed counsel so they can navigate our complex legal process. Post-release services, including case management support, should be provided to children placed with families and in foster care, both for their safety and to assure they appear at their legal proceedings. Sufficient funding should be provided to care for the safety and to assure they appear at their legal proceedings. Sufficient funding should be provided to care for these children so that federal agencies do not have to raid other budgets, such as the refugee budget. Pastoral services should be provided to these children and families, including visitation by priests, ministers, and other religious. Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I would like to relay one story of why children are fleeing their homes. In November, I led a delegation of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops to visit El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, and Mexico to look at this phenomenon. We met many children who told us their stories. At the Center for Detainee Children in Tapachula, Mexico, we met two boys, ages 15 and 17, who were clean-cut and respectful. They had recently arrived from San Pedro Sula, Honduras, a city with the highest murder rate in the world, higher than Kabul, Afghanistan, or Damascus, Syria. Organized crime members had attempted to recruit them and had told them that they and their families would be killed if they did not cooperate. The families quickly insisted they leave and flee to safety. Now, as they waited for repatriation to Honduras, they told us they would not return to their home city, to what they felt was certain death. They would try again. Any risk they faced seemed like a better option than returning to their home. This story is typical of many of the children coming north. It also shows the decisions faced by parents and families who are unable to protect their children in their homes and communities. This was brought home to me by a mother of our delegation met at a repatriation center in El Salvador who told us, "I would rather my child die on the journey seeking safety in the United States than on my front doorstep." In conclusion, I ask you to consider the individual stories of these vulnerable children migrants and open your minds and hearts to their plight while seeking meaningful and long-term solutions. I ask you to respond to the needs of these children, not to turn them away or ostracize them. As Americans are a compassionate people, we should not turn our back on these children.
Thank you, Reverend Seitz.